This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
This fall, if you love the kidnap revenge plot of Taken,
they've kidnapped the entire CIA daycare center,
and the arbitrary group dynamic of the Expendables,
but those are the children of the most ruthless CIA assassins in the world!
Then get ready for all your favorite revenge movie action stars combining forces in Give Us All Our Daughters Back, starring Liam Neeson.
I have a very particular set of skills, like fighting and growling, and I speak un poco Espanol.
Denzel Washington.
My man, give me back my daughter.
Harrison Ford.
Give me back my daughter! And I didn't kill my wife!
Uma Thurman.
You'll recognize me. I'm dressed like a taxi.
Mel Gibson.
No, I'm telling you, the Jews took my daughter!
And Steven Seagal.
I'm on my way, and I'm bringing backup.
With over 45 minutes of threatening phone calls.
Now you listen to me.
No, you listen to me.
And now you're gonna listen to me.
If you so much as lay one finger on my daughter, I... Hello. Verizon.
And then another 45 minutes where they're just shooting the breeze.
Let me ask you a question. Are you a sheep or a wolf? Wolf or sheep? Answer the question. Are you a shark or a turtle? It's a simple question. Are you a porpoise or a narwhal?
I want you to listen to me very carefully. You're gonna deliver an extra large cheese pizza, and the money will be taken.
None of the characters have names or backstories, and I like that, raves the director. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone gives it one review. You've got movie, says parody reviewer A.O.L. Scott. And don't miss a very special cameo from Arnold Schwarzenegger and his new book.
We got to go! I've got to get out of here! I've got to save my son! Not that son, the one in this movie! Oh, I'm so sorry, Maria. Buy my book.
Hey, who's hungry?
Give Us All Our Daughters Back. Come on, you'd see it.
We mixed. We loaded it. We edited it.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
With alternate casting, who would you guys like to have seen join this franchise at some point? Because I've seen people make some amazing like fake posters. One that had Pierce Brosnan, who was attached at one point, Kiefer Sutherland, and Michael J. White was another one. It's like those looked like awesome posters.
You know what? It would have been really cool to see somebody like Jeff Speakman make a comeback.
Oh, Don the Dragon Wilson, one of those 90s Cynthia Rothrock, one of the Hong Kong or direct-to-video action stars.
Man, if they put Cynthia Rothrock in here, you would have had a huge...
It'd be an amazing comeback for her, yeah. But Speakman, I like the idea. He could have been a fun businessman who beats someone up at a weapons exchange. He could have been a black market dealer who's like, I can give you the perfect weapon, but don't.
I mean, check this out.
The last thing I saw Cynthia Rothrock in was Santa's Summer Home.
Oh,
that was the last thing I saw her.
Yeah, David DeCoteau.
Check this out though. Imagine for the third one, we had a good fight scene between Ronda Rousey and Cynthia Rothrock.
That would have made it a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like her actually in that movie with how she's going, oh, men, I can beat you. But then I've seen, other than like 911, she doesn't seem to be well used in movies and TV. They kept asking The Rock to join, and he kept politely saying it's not in my wheelhouse. And then he finally blew him off saying, I'm not ready yet. I'm like, oh, come on, dude.
I wouldn't have wanted to see The Rock in the Expendables.
It would have been too much.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You said what two people were missing, and I'll go off of what your first question was. What made these movies work? And basically, the two actors that were there were only two actors that were missing. I can think of many actresses like Michelle Yeoh and stuff if you wanted to bring them into the mix.
Oh, it would have been amazing. Prior to her
but I would rather get a female Expendables that had the same attitude as the male Expendables and let the females just kick ass.
Right, like they were trained by...
Michelle Yeoh would be the person I would have leading that. But the two actors that were missing from the Expendables were... that are at least still alive, because I would have loved to have seen Brosnan in this series, but of course we could never get that. At this point, the two living actors who need to be in there are Clint Eastwood and Jackie Chan, because what makes these movies so great is that it's the old guys showing the new guys how it's done. And the best way to explain that is, when I saw the movie Grumpy Old Men, the first one with Jack Lemmon, it was at a time when not a lot of good comedies were coming out. And it felt like now the two pros came in and said, let's show you how it's done.
Kind of like how Leslie Nielsen and Bill Shatner had to make fun of themselves.
And I feel like it's the same thing happening here. The best era for action movies was the 70s and the 80s, when we were getting all the Chuck Norris movies, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, the Sylvester Stallone movies. And so it was like, wait, we got a lot of CGI creating this action stuff. It's not as effective. It's not working. We're going to show you how action heroes really do this. And I know there's a lot of CGI and everything in these expendable movies, but nobody has the presence of a Stallone or a Schwarzenegger or a Bronson or a Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. They just have this presence.
Either that or they're like A-listers who do B-list movies, if that makes sense. So like, for instance, you would... Now, that is a good point you hit on, because like, for instance, you're not going to get Liam Neeson or Denzel even on these,
Well, but The Rock, if you think about The Rock's presence, his presence is because he's a wrestler and he's got a lot of fans, but he doesn't have that real grandiose
other than the rundown and faster. Yeah, it's kind of...
But even in those movies, it's just when you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone playing in these action movies, they're going to kick butt. They
don't have
to prove it. What's so great about Bronson is you never doubted that, even though he wasn't like a Schwarzenegger, you never doubted that the bad guys were going to get their butts kicked.
True.
And in good old fashioned fights,
CGI or not, you believe what they're selling. Yeah.
But it was an old fashioned fight style. It was guns and all. It wasn't like cars flying off of a cliff and then somehow surviving, even though it would have been totally impossible because CGI would allow it to happen. True. This was really about who these actors were and what you believed when you saw them on screen. And I think that Eastwood and Chan are two of those people, and it would have been just awesome to see them in...
I would have loved to see Jackie Chan get like Stallone in like a headlock with like his feet. and just like Jackie could be like he could make fun of his Rush Hour or Police Story persona. Like, I'm an undercover officer. Who are you? And Stallone's doing his usual.
I was just thinking, I was talking about the older movies that they did, and I forgot. Kurt Russell and Stallone did Tango and Cash. So
I'm glad you brought that up.
Show up in these Expendables movies.
You're gonna hate me for this. He and Michael Biehn were offered, and get this. You want to know what the reason was? And it doesn't make a lick of sense.
What's that?
They were like, we don't do ensemble movies. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's an ensemble movie.
Tombstone, Executive Decision.
That too, yes.
Escape New York. You can't tell me those aren't ensemble movies. So I think they were just being polite, but they just sunk more holes in their stupid excuse. It's like, just say you're not interested in doing a homage movie.
It's very funny. It's very funny. And you hear Kurt Russell say, you're going to do an ensemble movie, and then the next thing you see him in is a Fast and the Furious sequel.
You're right, and then he just did a Godzilla movie with his kid Wyatt, so what the hell? It's just like, I don't do ensembles. okay, you've done it literally all your life. Backdraft, you can't tell me that's not an ensemble movie. Come on.
Well, you got to wonder if their reasons are legitimate or if they're just
I think
saying
they're
what they
just
want you to hear.
Maybe.
What's the real reason? Because Charles Bronson was originally supposed to be in City Slickers.
Oh, real? That's right.
There were issues with that because Charles Bronson doesn't die in movies. And what movie came out that same year? But Indian Runner, which he should have won the Oscar for, but he lost to Jack Palance for City Slickers, and he dies in Indian Runner.
Literally the first
He says he doesn't die in movies, and then he does a movie where he dies.
I guess he's at the end of his career there, and he's just like, "Hey, it's a good movie. It's a touching story. I'll do whatever." It's just
you got to be careful when you listen to some of these interviews because sometimes they'll tell you what they think you want to hear as opposed to what's really going on because they have to have a persona out there.
Yeah, and it's so funny though how it often tiptoes around their actual brand, and it's just like it doesn't have to be a Howard Stern or Conan that brings out the real you every time. It should be, hey, this is a version of me that is legit. It shouldn't have to be I go on PBS for a, no holds barred interview for you to really show your naked soul. It's like, good grief, guys. It's not like we're asking you about your sex lives. Just why do you do what you do?
Basically, a lot of these people
behind the scenes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, basically, a lot of these people, they say what they say in order to advance their career. And just think about that actress or actor who did that independent movie, and there was a breakout role for them. They all of a sudden get all sorts of awards and nominations, and they'll be like, and they'll be interviewed, and the person will say, "Why did you take this role?" And they'll give all these reasons about the depth of the character and this and the other thing, when the real reason is because it was offered to them.
Correct.
But they look better if they give all
and
these
looks
reasons.
more important. Yeah, my sister will take all of them and I'm like, it's a grain of salt. I'm like, just wait till you get the inevitable. I regret taking that role. I wouldn't do it now. And you get those a lot. I think Hilary Swank, who's just an excellent actress, is having a regret. You've seen, John Travolta doesn't apologize for anything now. That's kind of his thing in interviews where he's like, I don't regret doing Battlefield Earth. It was the Schindler's List of sci-fi. And you're like, what the hell, dude? Okay. Whatever works. Yeah. I wish I was making that
I think
up.
it was the Manos, the Hands of Fate of sci-fi.
Right. That is the more accurate take. And you got the Star Trek figurines in the background, Gil. I've seen those guys have different. Those guys are pretty good at being pretty transparent and consistent in interviews. But don't get me wrong, there's plenty of other sci-fi genre guys who's just like, dude, stop. You're not making any sense now. Yeah. Because like you say, you were offered, and that's literally all that happened. You couldn't say no. You weren't going to get another shot, so you said yes. And
Right.
yeah,
And sometimes they'll do the really bad movie so they get the really good movie, like Emilio Estevez did Mighty Ducks 3 for the sole purpose of Disney offered to fund his movie War at Home. We never know what the real reasons are, but do they really want to? They want to come out and tell you what you want to hear because they want to look good.
Right. They don't want to seem like an asshole or like a whore asking for money, and I get it. And
the same story with Christopher Reeve. Where he did
Superman 4, and he looked after John Cryer. He's shielded him from that movie.
To do, Mean Streets too.
Yeah, the Morgan Freeman, Mimi Rogers crime film. Yeah, that's a good one. And Ethan Hawke and John Cusack have forever in interviews said, they do 2 movies they don't want to do in order to do 2 movies they do want to do each year. I'm like, that's a good solution, but that also is at least, it gives me half the story, but it also doesn't, it's less of a guessing game where I have to decide which movie your heart was in. It's like, okay, so at least you've embraced the businessman side of your career as opposed to waiting 10 years. But I don't know, some stars are not waiting 10 years to diss the movie that they think is awful, but sometimes also, to you guys' earlier points, they're just reacting to the pressure after the fact, or they only hate it just because they didn't make their money back versus it was just bad from the ground up, script wise, production wise.
course, if they're doing publicity for the film because it's in theaters now, then they're just going to tell you how wonderful everything was, and then 10 years later, you find out how they hated doing the movie and the experience.
Oscar Isaac, Idris Elba, and Robert Downey are like the kings of now just talking about funny stories on set. Which, I mean, Pierce Brosnan did that recently while promoting Black Adam. He finds out that the guy interviewing him is from his same Ireland village, and they just start talking about that for the rest of the interview. It's like, see, that's wisely tiptoeing. We got nothing really to talk about. No one's going to remember this interview, even in TikTok age. Just have fun and just talk about something else now that publicity is done. I don't know, man. I wouldn't really care. You know, I'd be like, I'll get my fanfare wherever I can. Who else did we leave out who should have joined the cast in a perfect world? Like, who would have been your fan cast back when this was announced? So mention all the ones who couldn't join, and then all the ones that were offered but turned it down because they thought it was dumb or didn't get it.
Yeah, I can't say Wesley because he already showed up in 3.
You know, I would have liked to have seen him in part 1, but I think, yeah, he was still wrapping up prison time, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was on lockdown, so there was no way.
I'm just sad that the whole Terry Crews debacle house, the agent who touched him inappropriately repped both co-stars Adam Sandler and Stallone, so that got into a sticky situation, and then he just was like, screw it, I'm not doing part 4.
Is that why he wasn't in part 4?
It kind of part of it, yeah, because I don't know if that agent still reps Stallone or what, but because of the Me Too story, it's just, I think a lot of feathers got bent. And I guess because he was waiting so long, he's just like, I'm going to just start doing TV hosting and more Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But yeah, it's Terry.
I'm curious why Stallone didn't refuse to do part 4.
Right. Yeah.
They totally wasted him. They took him out of the. They took him out of.
Didn't want to be in it. Yeah.
Wasted him. That's the rationale and thinking of the people who made that movie.
He's saying his lines on time, but yeah, he's barely in the movie, and you're just like, okay,
it's.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was looking at Voodoo credits and stuff, and looking at the cast in there, and Stallone is listed. He's like not at the front of the cast. He's like further down.
Number
in
40
the Voodoo, for Expendables 4, and it says Sylvester Stallone. And then usually you have the character name underneath, but it just says Stallone underneath them.
Yeah. Even in the credits, it's kind of that way. He's like, he tries to hand it off to Statham, but Statham is not in it enough to really have it be his movie either. That's kind of the messed up part. And
look, I was watching that movie, and that movie is so bad that I think even the locations didn't want to be a part of it, which is why everything's green screen.
It's so funny. Like, the same night I'm watching it, I'm texting my pal Jeremy, who's all into B action movies and everything, and coincidentally, he just got done watching it off of Stars, and it's so funny. We're just going back and forth. Yeah, the CGI locations were bad, but like, I really started looking up. I googled like Andy Garcia health issues because like this was like the 4th movie, I kid you not, where I just seemed like he was stuttering his lines. Now, don't get me wrong, those movies he was in were way better. He did this one called Redemption Day where he played a politician who got kidnapped. He did another one with Karl Urban that was a crooked cop gangster film that was really decent. But, you know, like I'm seeing all those actors get up there, like Patrick Stewart, Sam Waterston, but at least they're finally stepping down, you know, finalizing the character, going out on a good light. And same deal there. He just throwing out his lines. And I'm like, must have been hell for ADR because it made me wonder where the budget went other than the actors, because I'm just like, okay, saying some very important stuff and he's croaking up his lines halfway through the dossier meeting. And Megan Fox was also confusing because her first scene, she's terrible, but then the rest of the time she's as good as I've seen her be in all the comedies and horror movies where she's engaged, she's being intense. I'm like, so they must have just split up the filming really chaotically because
I know they missed out on as a villain.
No, well, yeah.
The ultimate villain for these movies would have been Alan Rickman.
Oh,
he wouldn't have done 4, so he had been in the first 3. But
yeah, a guy can dream, man. That would have been.
Yeah, I believe he was still alive up through 3. So
he was suffering from cancer silently.
Well, yeah, there would have been.
But
it would have been cool to see some interaction between him and Bruce Willis.
Yeah, something that would have been hysterical. Yeah, and they should have brought Matt Callahan, who created the whole thing, but they made such a stink about who got like the copyright or residuals from the screenplay, and I think that just turned into such an ordeal. Callahan, has gone on to do other stuff like the new Mortal Kombat and Shang-Chi and Wonder Woman 84, but prior to that, he had just done some shorts and written the Doom video game movie with The Rock and Karl Urban. But see, that would have been a great cast. Have Karl Urban come on and have him be just some cool super soldier, because you've seen him in Red and Dread, and he would have had a lot of fun.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen everything I've seen Karl Urban in. I've liked him in.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek. Yeah,
The Boys.
Red.
The Boys. I just said Red.
Oh, I thought you said. I didn't hear that.
Red and Dread.
But he was in Pete's Dragon, for crying out loud.
Yeah, right. The dude has made so many cheesy mystery and horror movies watchable. He's a good actor.
Well, and then he's in a Marvel film.
Yeah, he's in
as I can't.
He was in Thor 3, yeah, as one of the bad guys. But see, he should have been Thor. I'm sorry. The dude is magnetic. I think that's the other thing, too. I think they screwed up how they were pitching it to people, because they must have just been like, that's too much. Or maybe they were that insecure with their image, their brand. They didn't.
You know what? We could have got Michael Jai White to do one of those movies.
I agree. Yeah, he should have. Because I saw, as I said at the start, yeah, they did fake posters of him, Kiefer Sutherland, and Pierce Brosnan. And I'm like, see, those guys would have made fun of their spy alter ego. And yeah, Jay White could have done just, I know he's been getting so busy doing other B movies and getting his own production company underway, but he could have played a fun villain, as we've seen in, Dark Knight, I don't know. Just Universal Soldier 2, a guy could dream. So yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I would have, in a better world, I would have liked us, the fans, to have helped it out. Just. But I mean, I'm glad Gerard Butler had his various fun action movies and his own saga, because had he not, I would have asked for him to be in these movies.
But a movie that fits in this genre that came out this year, if you haven't seen it, is called Land of Bad.
Yeah.
It's totally in the genre. It's a great movie with the worst title ever.
Yeah, it's a cheesy title, but I've seen the interviews with the director. Some of my other co-hosts have seen it. Well, and see, that had Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe would have been perfect in these movies too. Christian Bale. I mentioned Gerard Butler. Who's the other guy? Richard Dean Anderson would have been funny. It's just like he could just make, again, MacGyver puns. I think, I don't know, man.
What kind of shape is he in lately, though?
He had a lot of steroids he was taking because he kept breaking his legs while he went on Canadian skiing trips during Stargate. But see, there's so many other B-movie action stars who have a TV show where it's like, see, they would have been fun in these kinds of movies. It would have been up their alleyway. And I mean, they had Mickey Rourke and they implied that he was part of the team, but I mean, I'm kind of halfway on the fence in Roger Ebert's review of this, where he gives a review that the movie doesn't deserve. I'm like, well, yeah, he gives a good performance, but he should have been in these movies more. What else was he doing besides more direct-to-video movies?
Why wasn't Seagal in any of them?
Well, as I said earlier, like, he wasn't on good terms, especially with the producers. Like, he had been causing so much.
I was going to say it would probably be, yeah, I would say it
you wouldn't have gotten he would have asked to sit in a chair the whole time.
Or do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, but I mean, Tony Scott and Martin Campbell could have directed some of these movies. They would have been fine. I don't know.
Yeah, Martin Campbell would have actually been a perfect choice to direct one of these.
No,
the guy's got the two best.
I mean, he worked with Maggie Q and Sam Jackson recently, and I kept asking, when is Sam freaking Jackson going to do this? He's done Triple X, The Avengers, and Star Wars. Why the hell is he not done in Expendables? He's, to me, a definitive ass kicker.
They probably didn't ask him.
Even then, that is stupid. He has owned every Spike Lee and Tarantino movie he has made better by his presence alone. You know, it's just
he would have done it if only asked him. He would have done it.
He could have taken a pay cut. He would not have given a shit.
Yeah.
Michael Caine would have been amusing. Having him be, he could have made fun of the Get Carter remake. He could have been the original OG who's passing off the team to Stallone.
Oh, to Stallone. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Stallone even used the same cinematographer as the Specialist, so he embraced some of his stupid movies, and I don't get it, man. I'm with you guys. It's just so many missed opportunities. So even how
they could have even brought Tom Selleck in, dressed him up in some.
I thought that too. Thank you for mentioning.
They could have dressed him up in some Indiana Jones kind of, not like Indiana Jones, but something that maybe paid homage to Indiana Jones and had him in 3 with Harrison Ford.
Yeah. So I know he's controversial, but it made no sense why they couldn't have had Tom Cruise come on board and just make this over the top, stupid, and silly. And
Tom Cruise, he was busy with Mission Impossible.
I know, but they could have just brought him in, and he could have literally just for a scene like made fun of his alter ego. But I get that some people wouldn't have been keen on it. I don't know.
Well, some of these actors might have just felt that they were above those types of movies or something.
I think that's just it. Yeah. I've been seeing this with my work lately, where people who are qualified don't get the job. So I'm kind of this way too. I feel like whoever was doing the staffing was doing a terrible job of pitching it to them. And they were like, I'm unimpressed by the paycheck already. I'm just going to say no. Which is a shame, because these movies could have been the next Tom Clancy type franchise. They could have been, hell, Chris Pratt did the freaking Terminal List show. He could have been brought on. Some of these other guys, it was funny with him.
I don't know if I would have liked him as much if they had had the Tom Clancy kind of attitude, because what I love about him is they don't take themselves too seriously and they're just a lot of fun. Whereas you watch like Hunt for Red October and Patriot Games and all that, there's just, this real serious tone to them.
Fair enough. I just mean the overall plot, and then they could litter it with more amusing stuff. Character-wise,
Sean Connery would have made a good bad guy too.
I wanted him to be in those so bad. I saw him on every fan casting. It would have been funny if they had Robert Loggia, then it would be an over-the-top reunion. But yeah, it just
Sean Connery retired long before.
I know, but
bring him out of retirement
before that though.
But then he kept saying, "I'm not really retired." So they got one of the Indiana Jones stars, but yeah, even though for years, I wanted Timothy Dalton or Roger Moore to make a cameo. That would have been fun. Just
it's Stallone bringing all his friends in. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Yep.
Yeah,
because somebody went silent.
Well, maybe the Expendables are knocking at our door trying to burst in.
I was going to say with Stallone bringing all his friends in, it might have been
because he got freaking
a small cameo with Henry Winkler.
Oh, hey,
they're
Lords
good
of
friends.
Flatbush, yeah. And then that's how he would have gotten Richard Dean Anderson on. But see, I'm sure Sandra Bullock said thanks, but no thanks. But he got freaking Wesley Snipes, so yeah, I don't know. I'm glad with most of what we got, but there were so many times where it's just like, that guy needs to be part of the cast. That guy needs to be part of the cast. They still need to be part of the cast. Why are they not part of the cast? Because can you imagine Sam Jackson just coming in and like briefing them, like after the credits? Someone did a fun poster mashup one time where they had like Chow Yun Fat and Jean Reno as part of the crew, and see, that would have been perfect too. Those guys are legends, and they're international legends, if you will. Everybody loves them.
Look, if they want to do another one, they should just do an all Muppet Expendables. And
yes, everything goes back
that
to
would be amazing.
Every time I'm asked about casting for movies, I just throw in the Muppets.
Throw in the Muppets. We've done who knows how many Muppet castings now. We remade Jaws with Muppets. And they kept claiming Danny Trejo was in it when he actually wasn't. But see, there's no reason why he couldn't have been in it. He doesn't turn down a paycheck.
You know,
I'm
and
glad
if
he
they
wasn't.
if they wanted to do the passing of the torch thing, first of all, they should have passed the torch to the younger guys that were in 3, because that's how it happens. Is you do the movie that's got all of them in, and then when you go to see
It
the
would have
next
been
one, what's the
perfect.
passing of the torch? And
Yeah.
that's why Creed 3 did so well, because it became a cast. Because
that would have been funny if
but
they
it was
had
a
brought.
nice passing of the torch.
I would have liked that. Michael B. Jordan comes in. He's like, now I'm taking over another one of your franchises. Stallone, suck it. Yeah, that would have been funny. Or better yet, I bet you can't win this boxing ring. You got knocked the fuck out. I feel like they should have brought in. You guys were mentioning Die Hard villains and actors earlier. Ali Yong would have been perfect as like a head of a henchman squad. He could have died in an over the top way. I know he's getting up there, but they could have had Stephen.
Yeah, he
Sousa.
hasn't been in the best of health for a while either.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And that Eddie Murphy and Val Kilmer were rumored. They would have been perfect, but again, health and schedule reasons. But imagine if they got 48 Hours and Die Hard writer Stephen D'Souza to write that stuff. He would have had a field day. He would have given them a perfect script to go off of and make better or ruin. And it seems like, I don't know, man, it's just like they had so many other people they could have looked to who are decent with genre tropes. And
I wonder how Eddie Murphy would have fit in, because like when Eddie Murphy's playing,
I do what I want.
yeah, but
That's
the thing
exactly
is
what I
like
was
when he's
thinking.
playing Axel Foley, or he's the guy from 48 Hours, he's perfect. But is
I think that's perfect.
Humor appropriate for Expendables?
I think so. It sums up the 80s, kind of like
Could he pass off as a mercenary?
I'll give you one. I'll give you one better. He could have been. We could have worked in that Stallone used to train a police squad, and he was like the police drill sergeant or something, some shit. And I don't know, man. They could have done so many other things. They could have had so many other smuggling and war on terror type villains too, and they just always went with just dictators or crooked CIA guys. And I'm like, well, I mean, Eddie would have been perfect as like an ex-con turned like, or there you go. You do a play on 48 Hours. He's done like an expensive heist. Like he stole from like the president, the Capitol, or something else unforgivable. Like he stole like from the Eiffel Tower or some shit. And in order to reduce his prison sentence or get out of jail, he has to go on a dangerous mission for the CIA or something. There you go.
Depending on the timeline of that, Ben Stiller might sue for liable for that. It's like, have we done a movie about it?
In many ways, though, the newest Beverly Hills Cop kind of was his Expendables. That was him. Going to come back. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like they had so many other people that could have worked, but they weren't going to bother to give them a good backstory. They just wanted a cameo. And I mean, Charlie Sheen would have been funny, but he was that was when he was going all batshit crazy and doing the winning streak. So Stallone didn't want any of that, negative press attached to the movie. And I'm like, well, that might have actually worked, because when do you guys care what critics say? It's just.
Yeah, and what's wrong with just having cameos? Because
that would have been funny. Him
one
or
of the
Hasselhoff.
best.
I'm on Tiger Blood. Yeah. You know what would have been funny for me is if they had brought in Dennis Haysbert from, you know him from Major League and 24, but he was on the unit.
Are you in good hands?
Right. There you go. He was on the unit as the main Delta Force leader, and it would have been funny but then again, that would have been too much. But see, there's so many people who could have made cameos I thought they would have been perfect if they brought in Michael Chiklis from The Shield and Comish. But again, because he could have been an evil member of the team who's now a war criminal or something. But I don't know. I think, again, everybody's budget was restricted. And when they thought of cameos, whoever was doing the pitching, they're just like, I'm good, man. That's
but the thing is, you didn't need to go after the expensive guys. You had because most of these, they're like when you're looking at Dolph.
That's why I'm recommending all these.
Not
TV
an expensive guy.
Well, that's why
perfect for this movie. Berenger would have been good for this movie.
That would have been amazing. Yes, I thought of him, and it would have been even funny if they even just had Matt Damon just show up for 5 seconds. He's doing it with the Avengers and just be like, "You got me mistaken for a different spy," and just leaves. Doesn't have to do anything. Walks out with $10,000. Just
You know what? You mentioned Charlie Sheen before. Somebody else from Navy SEALs could have been in this movie, and that was
Michael Biehn. Well,
I mentioned him earlier. He and Russell did the "I don't want to be part of an ensemble," which is stupid because they've only done that all their life. You know, The Rock and Navy SEALs and Tombstone. You're just like, what?
Isn't Bean kind of desperate for something good at this point?
Well, and it's so stupid because just again, after that, they're part of all these other foreign films and animes, and it's just like, what? Even parodies are better than this. This is basically a parody. This was literally free money. You know, shit. You could have invested in real estate with this kind of money at least. You know, I don't. Casper Van Dien. Hey, get Johnny Rico in here. He would have been perfect. Some other B movie star, Billy Zane, someone who doesn't care about what they're in, but they give 100. Okay, Fox would have been a cool chick giving a CIA briefing. I don't know.
Billy Zane show up and he would be the coolest villain ever.
There you go. Thank you. He's only
Eric Roberts.
Yeah, Eric Roberts was pretty much the compromise. I mean, hell, Christopher Lee would have been funny. I don't know, as a James Bond type villain dictator. And I really wish they could have expanded that thing a bit more because, like, they kept talking about. I mean, they only insert the Bruce Willis thing just because of the money dispute, and replace it with Ford, which was perfect. But then they could have done just something else kind of fun to even just give Mission Impossible a run for its money. Just said, hey, by the way, we needed to find like a traitor in the CIA, but pose as one of our own or something. I dug the spy angle. They needed more of that, but they kept going back to the, third world country type mayhem. I don't know.
Those were the best of those kinds of movies when you're watching movies like Commando and stuff like that.
No, they were fun. I just figured they kind of are two and two together because after a while it was what cheap warehouse can we find in Bulgaria and blow up.
I thought of another person who should have been in the Expendable movies. And I think this might be one of the best ones to be mentioned, at least in my opinion.
Please.
Carl Weathers.
They wanted him, I think, at one point, and it's like they wanted him on Balboa as like a ghost, which wouldn't have made much sense, and he was like too expensive. So unfortunately, Stallone did the whole, he wants too much money. He did the greedy tactic like he claimed with Willis.
God, thank God he wasn't in Rocky Balboa. That would have felt so forced. And
it's like the problem with many of these wrestlers, and that's why I think Stone Cold works so well as the villain. He's a pretty humble guy, politics aside. You've never heard anything toxic about him. He knows who he is, and he can laugh at himself and still be either a convincing hero or a henchman. But yeah, it's like all these other wrestlers, especially like Hogan, unfortunately are very much like some of today's politicians and football stars, where they got to be as unlikable as they can, and they really will never shut up. And it's just like, okay, well, it's not locker room talk anymore if you're saying all these hurtful things. And
I think if they really wanted to bring in a younger group for the fourth movie, the person they might have missed out on is trying to get Dave Bautista.
But, well, and that's just it. And a lot of fans wanted him on those because he did so well playing off of everybody in the Escape Plan sequels. And you're just like, see, he's gotten better with acting. He can do charisma. He's already got.
Dave Bautista's a really good actor when he's given the opportunity.
I mean, you've seen My Spy, I take it.
Well, no, I've seen My Spy. That's why I said when given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if you watch anything, even that independent movie he did, oh my God, it's like a post-apocalyptic thing. I can't remember the name of it. But if you watch in Blade Runner 2049, he was really good. In the
James Bond movie,
really good. He's very talented. He works hard at it.
Hysterical. Yeah.
Well, I've seen some stuff recently that says that, that kind of indicates that he wants to try to move away from action, try to branch out and do other.
Well,
and he's earned the right. Because, I mean, it's kind of like how John Cena tried action and he wasn't great at it, so he embraced comedy. Let's do
John Cena's another one I don't want to see.
And so, in Peacemaker, he's doing pretty good in comedy and action, both.
Right. But, I mean, it's more of a comedy than action, but I know what you mean there.
But I think Bautista has the chops to do the dramatic as well.
It would have been funny if they'd gotten the Burn Notice guy, Michael Weston, Jeffrey Donovan. That would have been funny. Same kind of campy show.
I just had a thought. Maybe they should throw Ryan Reynolds into the Expendables.
Or Frank
Why not? He's in
Grillo.
everything else.
What about Frank Grillo? Crossbones from Captain America.
Yeah, well, I heard that mentioned earlier. Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah,
he would have been
for the
perfect.
Captain America.
And they've done some Millennium Films movies together. I mean, for God's sakes, they did Hitman's Bodyguard, which was by the same writers of Expendables 3. So you're just like, why didn't someone say, hey guys, come back to Louisiana and Atlanta and let's film these cheap action movies and have fun? It's like, because Reynolds could have been even more meta. He would have made fun of, hey, you might think I'm the guy who narrates during every movie or something. It's just,
well, he could have. I mean, he didn't have to break the fourth wall. He could have still just been very sarcastic and
that too. Yeah, it's just
Here's another
lowbrow.
controversial statement. Don't bring in Will Smith or Martin Lawrence. And I just hate those Bad Boys movies so much.
I've never seen anything but the first one.
It would have sucked had we done the trilogy and then made just outdated predictions, and then part 4 comes out and then was like, I don't even want to embrace the saga. Yeah, so I think this is almost like when you watch a cult TV show and then there's just that anticlimactic final season that it wasn't canceled, but it just doesn't, after all that emotional weight, it doesn't make you want, it makes you regret bothering with it altogether, just like,
I'm surprised they didn't try to make a TV show out of this.
well, like I said, they did with the NCIS. LA guys were going to develop it, and NCIS is kind of as close as you get with, it's kind of campy but serious enough to where you can still follow it. But
who would you get for a TV version of this? Because you're not going to get the movie star.
Tom Selleck.
You probably have to get you'd have to get a Tom Selleck. You'd have to get some of these, but that's okay because then you just parody instead of parodying the action movies from back then, you parody or do a parody. It's not really.
Oh, I have it.
Instead of doing a take on those movies from back then, you do a take on those TV shows. So you get what's his name, who was the fall guy, and you get
Lee Majors and Gerald McRaney. There you go. Yeah,
like that.
You could have Maggie Q be the leader of the team. There you go. So it's Nikita is leading the team.
I think they're missing the boat by not doing an all-female.
It'd be funny if Mariska Hargitay or one of those other tough chicks was in there, and you're just like, oh, yeah. They should just do a Hong Kong like tribute to it at this point, or not. I mean, they really missed the boat, and since the last one was just left such a bad taste in most of our mouths, I think.
Expendables.
Oh, of what Expendables?
A Bollywood.
You know what? Why not? Because it's going to be bad, but that'll be part of the charm. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think of other female-led shows and movies, and
don't get me wrong. There's plenty. It's just, you could get. I always joke that the Ziva chick from NCIS should have been a decent direct-to-video action star, but
I don't think they do well at the box office necessarily. I mean, like the Ghostbusters remake, that gets panned a lot because they don't find it as good as the other.
Now that everything's going straight to Netflix, I mean, there's no telling what they'll do with direct to the internets.
I think if you got the right cast and you made a good movie so it got good reviews in today's climate, I think very much so it would do well. You would have to. They would advertise it as a female version of the Expendables. It might even be better because if you were to get like a Michelle Yeoh and a Charlize Theron and some of these other people and really put together something worthwhile where the critics are saying good things about it, I think it would do well. The problem would be is if you just said, hey, we'll just do a female version and people are going to go see it, so let's just throw it together. That would be the problem.
They tried one with Jessica Chastain that was like that meets Born Identity, the 335, and that was one of those where it was fun, but it just wasn't appealing to every crowd. But I mean,
the 355,
I mean, but I mean, you guys have all brought up very good points. You really would have to get creative with the plot, and you would have to have it stand on its own 2 feet to where the jokes land and the espionage is fun and it's not just reminding people of better movies. I think that's the other thing too, is we keep just relying on A-list actors to just work out for, half a month and carry the movie. And it's just like, well, that's kind of that's kind of a fad, and it doesn't really matter anyway if you're going to just use CGI muscles. It's. I think
that's the problem with movies nowadays. Is the amount of
producers love everything they make, so they're not good at being objective, and the Joel Silvers have left us by retiring from the industry, and once you get a big name star, then they kind of want to just dominate the whole movie, so I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone, but I mean, let's say this had someone like a J-Lo or a Marky Mark or even a Rock, they wanted then, unfortunately, take over the whole production and get their moment in the sun, and everybody else kind of suffers as a result, because
I can't even think of a J-Lo movie I could enjoy.
Oh, I'm just thinking of just various. I mean,
Jersey Girl, where she dies, maybe.
Oh shit! I mean, even the
spoiler for Jersey Girl.
Well, it was a Kevin Smith dramedy. I mean, look at the TV show Person of Interest. That had all kinds of fun actors who've been in different things, and you all bought what they were selling. They were all able to do action and deliver sci-fi exposition and do some drama. So yeah, I mean, this TV is more forgiving because people are willing to. There's so many great TV actors who can kick ass like 5 episodes out of a 10 episode run and have a cool storyline that makes you want to binge watch it and stretch themselves. There's more time to develop something, and when it's done well, it's not boring, unlike some ill-fated Netflix shows. So I mean, and if you do a movie straight to Netflix, I mean, we keep bringing up Charlize because she has shown she can do drama, she can do action. I mean, there's been some horror type parodies of this where they would get all like famous, monster movie guys in a movie together that didn't do so well because they weren't very well made. But if they had a bunch of scream queens together in one giant movie, that would sell. That'd be a fun mix of both worlds.
We'll return after these messages.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and foodie debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.